Hey, in this video we're going to discuss recoding and generating new variables using simple arithmetic. Now, there might be several reasons to recode a variable once you've collected your data. For example, when I use the codebook command to look at the gender aspect of my made-up data, I notice I've got 1 for male, 2 for female. Now, in some types of linear regression, in some types of statistics, we may want to code 0 for male and 2 for female. Or, I'm sorry, 0 for male and 1 for female. So, using some of the things we've discussed in previous videos, we're going to create a new label that states that, and we're going to recode. So, the first thing we're going to do is recode and our variable gender. So you use the recode command followed by the variable you want to recode, and then parentheses, whatever the old variable was equals whatever the new variable is. In this case, if it was a 1, I want it to be a 0 now. If it was a 2, I want it to be a 1 now. Okay, so hit enter. And when I look at my code book, I will see this because my results window also says 10 changes were made. So code book gender. Now you notice that there's no label for 0, but there's a label, but my male is 1, even though we just recoded 1 to be female and 0 to be male. That's because it's using the old label. I'll have to use my label define, which we're going to call gender 2. There we go. As 0, wait, I can type, I promise. 0 is male and 1 is female. Now I'm going to apply that label with label values. I'm going to label gender with gender 2. Now I usually make my labels my labels capitals. That way I can tell them apart from the variable. And now, when I look at my code book for gender, I can see now my label is applied to my new recoded values. Creating a variable is pretty straightforward in Stata. When we look at our data over here in the variable window, we see that we have a pretest and a posttest. Let's say we want to create a variable that measures the difference between the pretest and the posttest for whatever reason. Now, I could go in and do this math manually in the data editor, but that's tedious, boring, and Stata will do it for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use gen in the command window for generate, and I'm going to create a name, which I'm just going to call difference, which is equal to posttest minus pretest. There we go. Now this will create a new variable based on the difference between the two. And as we can see over in my variable column, I now have a new variable labeled difference. And if I look at a summary of the difference, tells me that the minimum is 2, the max is 51, so there's a very, very wide range here. I can even now look at a histogram of my new variable. There we go, so we can see the differences. So that's how we generate a new variable from pre-existing variables. Pretty straightforward. All we have to do is remember the generate, and that is how you recode and how you generate variables. Happy statistics!